a man stood on the precipice of life and death, teetering between existence and the great unknown. As he lingered at this boundary, an overwhelming thirst consumed him, a yearning so profound it seemed that even the waters of the vastest oceans would not suffice to quench it. This thirst was not merely physical but spiritual, a deep and insatiable craving that arose from the very core of his being. In this critical juncture, where the veil between the temporal world and the eternal began to thin, he found himself profoundly vulnerable. It was in this state of heightened susceptibility that the devil, ever vigilant and opportunistic, chose to make his presence felt. The devil, a cunning and ancient adversary, had long waited for such a moment when a soul teetered on the edge, ripe for temptation and diversion. With a malevolent smile and eyes that gleamed with dark intent, he appeared before the man. In his hand he held a glass of water, clear and cool, the very essence of relief for a parched throat. "Here, take this," the devil whispered, his voice smooth and enticing, promising immediate satisfaction. The offer was simple yet profound, a glass of water that seemed to hold the promise of relief from the man's tormenting thirst. But beneath this seemingly benign gesture lay a sinister intent, a final attempt to lead the soul astray, to divert it from the righteous path it had followed throughout life. As the man reached out, his hand trembling with the intensity of his need, a flicker of recognition dawned in his eyes. He understood that this was no ordinary moment of choice, but a pivotal test of his faith and resolve. The water, though desperately desired, was tainted with deception. It was a trap laid by the devil to snare his soul at its most vulnerable, to exploit the desperation that comes with the approach of death. The journey towards death is one that every human being must eventually undertake. It is a path fraught with uncertainty and filled with profound existential questions. The devil's temptations at this critical juncture are not merely about physical relief, but are symbolic of the internal struggles and fears that plague the human soul. These moments of encounter with the devil are reflections of our own deepest insecurities and doubts, magnified and brought to the forefront as we stand at the threshold of the unknown. As the man grappled with his thirst and the devil's offer, he realized that this was a moment of truth, a test of the faith he had nurtured throughout his life. Would he succumb to the immediate gratification of his physical needs, or would he remain steadfast in his spiritual convictions? The questions that arose were profound and unsettling. What would he choose in his most vulnerable moment? How would the final experience of his earthly existence unfold before him? This critical moment, charged with tension and significance, is a reminder of the ultimate challenge that all human beings must face. It is a reflection of the eternal struggle between good and evil, faith and doubt, righteousness and temptation. The agony of death, the final test of our spiritual resilience, is a journey that demands the utmost strength and clarity of purpose. In the final moments of his life, Abu Zakaria, a man renowned for his devoutness and unwavering faith, lay on his deathbed. His room was filled with the hushed whispers of loved ones and friends who had gathered to offer their support and bid him farewell. The air was thick with emotion, a mixture of sadness, reverence, and a profound sense of impending loss. As Abu Zakaria's breathing grew shallow, a close friend of his, seeking to provide comfort and reaffirm their shared faith, began to recite the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. However, what happened next was both unexpected and deeply disturbing. Each time the sacred words were spoken, Abu Zakaria turned his face away, refusing to join in the recitation. His friend, bewildered and anxious, tried again, hoping that the familiar words would bring peace to Abu Zakaria's soul. But the reaction was the same. Abu Zakaria averted his gaze, rejecting the recitation with a firmness that belied his weakened state. The atmosphere in the room grew tense as confusion spread among those present. How could Abu Zakaria, a man who had dedicated his entire life to the worship of God, reject the very words that symbolized his faith? His friend's concern deepened, prompting him to try once more. With a voice trembling with both hope and fear, he recited the Shahada a third time. But instead of the expected acceptance, Abu Zakaria's response was a clear and resolute, "I will never say those words." This reaction left everyone in the room stunned. Abu Zakaria's friend, who had always seen him as a pillar of faith, was particularly shaken. How could a man known for his piety and devotion respond in such a way? The situation seemed paradoxical and incomprehensible. The friend, desperate to understand, waited for Abu Zakaria to regain full consciousness, hoping for an explanation that could make sense of this troubling behavior. When Abu Zakaria finally opened his eyes, he found himself surrounded by worried and confused faces. His friend, still grappling with what had transpired, gently asked if he remembered anything from those moments when he seemed unconscious. As the events were recounted to him, Abu Zakaria listened intently, his expression one of deep contemplation. After a few moments of silence, he began to speak, his voice carrying the weight of the spiritual trials he had endured. He explained that during those moments of apparent unconsciousness, he had been subjected to a profound spiritual struggle. The devil, sensing his vulnerability, had sought to exploit it to the fullest. The first time his friend recited the Shahada, the devil appeared to him, holding a glass of water and shaking it enticingly. In his weakened state, the offer was tempting, but Abu Zakaria recognized it for what it was, a trap designed to lure him away from his faith. He turned his face away, rejecting the devil's ploy. The second attempt brought an even more insidious challenge. The devil demanded that he proclaim a creed entirely contrary to his beliefs, urging him to declare that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. This was a direct assault on the very core of his faith. Again, Abu Zakaria turned his face away, refusing to utter words that would betray his lifelong devotion to the oneness of God. In the third and final attempt, the devil tried a different tactic, presenting a distorted version of the Shahada. He urged Abu Zakaria to repeat the words in a context that implied denying the existence of God. It was a subtle but profound manipulation, intended to make him renounce his faith in his most vulnerable moment. Abu Zakaria, despite his physical weakness, responded with clarity and strength, saying, "I will never say those words." Abu Zakaria's account left his friends and loved ones in awe of his spiritual resilience. His refusal to succumb to the devil's temptations, even in the face of death, was a testament to the depth of his faith and the strength of his conviction. It highlighted the immense spiritual trials that can occur at the threshold of death, and underscored the importance of unwavering faith in the face of such challenges. The experience of Abu Zakaria serves as a powerful reminder of the ultimate test that awaits every believer. It illustrates the profound and often unseen battles that occur within the soul, especially as one nears the end of their earthly journey. These moments of trial are not just about the physical act of dying, but are deeply intertwined with the spiritual state of the individual. The devil's attempts to deceive and lead astray are most intense when the soul is at its most vulnerable, making it crucial for believers to cultivate a faith that is deeply rooted and resilient. Abu Zakaria's story also prompts a reflection on our own preparedness for this final test. It raises important questions about the strength of our faith and our ability to withstand the devil's temptations. How can we ensure that our faith remains steadfast in the face of such profound challenges? What can we do to nurture and deepen our spiritual resilience? As we ponder these questions, it becomes clear that the journey towards a strong and unwavering faith is a lifelong endeavor. It requires constant reflection, diligent practice, and a sincere commitment to living in accordance with divine guidance. By striving to integrate our faith into every aspect of our lives, we can build a spiritual foundation that will sustain us through the ultimate test of death and beyond. Abu Zakaria's revelations about his struggle with the devil during his final moments left a profound impression on everyone present. The room, once filled with an unsettling tension, now vibrated with a renewed sense of awe and respect for the strength of his faith. Abu Zakaria's story illuminated the unseen battles that can occur at the threshold of death, highlighting the spiritual resilience required to withstand such profound challenges. As Abu Zakaria recounted his experience, he spoke of the devil's cunning strategies. The first time the Shahada was recited, the devil appeared to him holding a glass of water, shaking it enticingly. In his weakened state, the temptation was almost unbearable. His throat was dry, his body parched, and the sight of the cool, clear water was a powerful lure. But Abu Zakaria, despite his physical desperation, recognized the devil's ploy. He knew that accepting the water would mean succumbing to the devil's influence, allowing his soul to be led astray at the critical juncture between life and death. So, he turned his face away, rejecting the offer with all the strength he could muster. The second encounter was even more insidious. The devil demanded that Abu Zakaria proclaim a creed entirely contrary to his beliefs, urging him to declare that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. This was a direct attack on the core of his faith, challenging the very foundation of his belief in the oneness of God. The devil's words were a deliberate attempt to confuse and mislead him, to exploit his vulnerability in those final moments. Again, Abu Zakaria turned his face away, refusing to betray the principles that had guided his entire life. The third and final attempt by the devil was the most devious. The devil presented a distorted version of the Shahada, urging Abu Zakaria to repeat the words in a context that implied denying the existence of God. It was a subtle but profound manipulation, intended to twist his faith and lead him into blasphemy. Despite his physical weakness, Abu Zakaria responded with clarity and strength, declaring, "I will never say those words." This final act of defiance was a testament to his unwavering faith and spiritual fortitude. Abu Zakaria's account left everyone in awe of his spiritual resilience. His refusal to succumb to the devil's temptations, even in the face of death, highlighted the depth of his faith and the strength of his conviction. It also underscored the immense spiritual trials that can occur at the threshold of death, reminding everyone of the importance of unwavering faith in the face of such challenges. Reflecting on Abu Zakaria's experience, it became clear that the journey towards a strong and unwavering faith is a lifelong endeavor. It requires constant reflection, diligent practice, and a sincere commitment to living in accordance with divine guidance. By striving to integrate faith into every aspect of life, believers can build a spiritual foundation that will sustain them through the ultimate test of death and beyond. As the story of Abu Zakaria's struggle spread, it served as a powerful reminder of the ultimate test that awaits every believer. It illustrated the profound and often unseen battles that occur within the soul, especially as one nears the end of their earthly journey. These moments of trial are not just about the physical act of dying, but are deeply intertwined with the spiritual state of the individual. The devil's attempts to deceive and lead astray are most intense when the soul is at its most vulnerable, making it crucial for believers to cultivate a faith that is deeply rooted and resilient. Abu Zakaria's experience also prompted a reflection on personal preparedness for the final test. It raised important questions about the strength of one's faith and the ability to withstand the devil's temptations. How can believers ensure that their faith remains steadfast in the face of such profound challenges? What can be done to nurture and deepen spiritual resilience? These questions led to a deeper understanding that the journey towards a strong and unwavering faith is not one that can be undertaken alone. It requires the support and guidance of a community, the wisdom of religious scholars, and the strength that comes from a sincere commitment to living a life in accordance with divine principles. By engaging in regular prayer, studying religious texts, and participating in communal worship, believers can strengthen their faith and prepare themselves for the ultimate test. The story of Abu Zakaria became a source of inspiration for many, encouraging them to reflect on their own faith and the spiritual trials they might face at the end of their lives. It served as a powerful reminder of the importance of unwavering faith and the need to prepare for the final test that awaits every soul. As the days passed, the community continued to reflect on Abu Zakaria's experience, drawing lessons and insights from his profound encounter with the devil. The discussions and reflections led to a deeper appreciation of the importance of spiritual resilience and the need to cultivate a faith that is strong enough to withstand even the most severe trials. In the end, Abu Zakaria's story became a beacon of hope and strength for all who heard it. It reminded everyone that the journey towards a strong and unwavering faith is a lifelong endeavor, one that requires constant reflection, diligent practice, and a sincere commitment to living in accordance with divine guidance. By striving to integrate faith into every aspect of life, believers can build a spiritual foundation that will sustain them through the ultimate test of death and beyond. The community's reflections on Abu Zakaria's experience also led to a renewed focus on spiritual practices and the importance of cultivating a deep and resilient faith. Believers were encouraged to engage in regular prayer, study religious texts, and participate in communal worship. These practices, they were reminded, are essential for building a strong spiritual foundation that can withstand the trials and temptations that may arise at the end of life. As the community continued to draw inspiration from Abu Zakaria's story, they found strength and comfort in the knowledge that unwavering faith and spiritual resilience can help them face the ultimate test of death with confidence and peace. Abu Zakaria's experience served as a powerful reminder of the importance of preparing for the final test that awaits every soul, and the need to cultivate a deep and resilient faith that can withstand even the most severe trials. In the quiet moments of reflection that followed, the community found a renewed sense of purpose and determination to live their lives in accordance with divine principles. They were reminded that the journey towards a strong and unwavering faith is not one that can be undertaken alone, but requires the support and guidance of a community, the wisdom of religious scholars, and the strength that comes from a sincere commitment to living a life in accordance with divine guidance. The story of Abu Zakaria became a source of inspiration and a powerful reminder of the ultimate test that awaits every believer. It served as a testament to the strength of unwavering faith and the importance of preparing for the final test that awaits every soul. As the community continued to reflect on Abu Zakaria's experience, they found strength and comfort in the knowledge that unwavering faith and spiritual resilience can help them face the ultimate test of death with confidence and peace. Abu Zakaria's experience underscored a profound truth about the nature of faith and the trials that can arise at the end of life. His story prompted the community to deeply reflect on their own spiritual journeys and the strength of their beliefs. The realization dawned that a life of faith requires more than mere belief. It necessitates continuous practice and unwavering commitment to spiritual principles. As the community gathered to discuss the implications of Abu Zakaria's trials, they acknowledged that the cultivation of a strong and resilient faith is an ongoing process. It begins with the foundation of daily practices that root a person firmly in their spiritual beliefs. Regular prayers, fasting, charitable deeds, and adherence to religious obligations are the pillars that support a robust faith. These practices are not merely rituals, but are essential acts that nourish the soul and prepare it for life's ultimate challenges. The analogy of holding an apple casually in the palm of one's hand was often cited. Just as an exposed apple can easily be snatched by a thief, faith that is superficial and not deeply internalized can be vulnerable to the devil's temptations. The community was reminded that true and deep faith must become an integral part of one's being, much like the nutrition from an apple becomes integrated into the body after digestion. This internalization of faith provides an unbreakable strength that can withstand even the most critical moments, such as the final test at the end of life. Members of the community began to see the importance of not just performing religious acts out of obligation, but engaging in them with a sincere heart and a mindful spirit. They understood that to nurture a resilient faith, one must go beyond the surface and allow spiritual principles to permeate every aspect of their life. This integration of faith into daily actions and thoughts strengthens the spiritual core, making it less susceptible to external temptations. The community leaders emphasized that the diligent practice of devotion and the meticulous observance of the 5 daily prayers are essential for building a strong spiritual foundation. These practices are not just for show, but are acts of worship that connect the believer to the divine, providing guidance and strength. The act of bowing and prostration in prayer is a physical manifestation of submission to God's will, reinforcing the internal commitment to spiritual principles. Moreover, the acquisition of religious knowledge was highlighted as a crucial aspect of deepening one's faith. Understanding the teachings of the Quran, the Hadith, and the lives of the prophets enriches the believer's knowledge and strengthens their connection to their faith. This knowledge provides a clear framework for navigating life's challenges and ensures that the believer's actions are aligned with divine guidance. It was also noted that living a lifestyle that contradicts the principles of faith can lead to significant weaknesses, especially in critical moments. Those who profess belief in the oneness of God, but neglect their religious obligations and indulge in worldly desires, create a disconnect between their proclaimed faith and their actions. This superficial faith is easily shaken when faced with the devil's temptations. The discussions in the community led to a collective resolution to make meaningful changes in their lives. They recognized the fleeting nature of youth and the unpredictable arrival of death. Reflecting on Abu Zakaria's story, they understood the urgency of living a life that is deeply rooted in faith. This meant avoiding sins, fulfilling prayers, performing good deeds, and continually seeking knowledge to strengthen their spiritual resilience. The community members realized that living a life of true faith is not just about individual salvation, but also about setting an example for others. By embodying the principles of their faith in their daily lives, they could inspire others to deepen their own spiritual commitments. True goodness, they understood, transcends mere words. It is manifested in actions and in a life lived with integrity and sincerity. As they continued to reflect on their own spiritual journeys, the community found solace in the teachings of the Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 177, provided a powerful reminder of what true goodness entails. It is not about outward appearances, but about genuine belief in God, the day of judgment, the angels, the books, and the prophets. It is about sharing one's possessions with those in need, performing prayers devoutly, fulfilling obligatory charity, keeping promises, and showing patience in adversity. This understanding of true goodness reinforced the importance of living a life that aligns with divine commandments. It highlighted the need for sincere devotion and a genuine commitment to helping others. By embracing these principles, the community members could ensure that their faith remained strong and resilient, capable of withstanding the trials and temptations that may arise at the end of life. The story of Abu Zakaria served as a powerful catalyst for change, prompting the community to take tangible steps towards deepening their faith. They began to engage more actively in communal worship, seeking guidance from religious scholars and supporting one another in their spiritual journeys. This collective effort strengthened the bonds within the community and created an environment conducive to spiritual growth. In their quest to live lives of true faith, the community members also recognized the importance of continuously seeking knowledge and understanding. They realized that their spiritual journey did not end with the basic practices of faith, but required a lifelong commitment to learning and growth. By studying the teachings of the Quran and the Hadith, they could gain deeper insights into their faith and better understand how to apply its principles in their daily lives. This pursuit of knowledge extended beyond religious texts to include understanding the broader context of their faith in the world. They sought to learn about the history of Islam, the contributions of Muslim scholars, and the rich cultural heritage that their faith encompasses. This broader understanding helped them appreciate the diversity and depth of their faith, fostering a sense of pride and belonging. As the community continued to reflect on the lessons from Abu Zakaria's experience, they found renewed motivation to live their lives in accordance with divine principles. They understood that true faith is not static but dynamic, requiring constant effort and dedication. By embracing this perspective, they could ensure that their faith remained strong and resilient, capable of withstanding any trials that may come their way. In conclusion, the story of Abu Zakaria served as a powerful reminder of the importance of unwavering faith and spiritual resilience. It highlighted the need for continuous practice, sincere devotion, and a genuine commitment to living in accordance with divine guidance. By integrating these principles into their daily lives, the community members could build a strong spiritual foundation that would sustain them through the ultimate test of death and beyond. This collective journey towards deepening their faith not only strengthened their individual spiritual resilience, but also created a supportive and nurturing community that inspired others to do the same.